This week's Line Opinion panel picks up the conversation from there. We appreciate all the time they put into each week researching the topics and sharing their insights. Back with us this week is Line regular Serge Martinez. He's a professor in the UNM Law School. Also Line regular and former state senator Diane Snyder. Always glad to have you into our Zoom discussion. And we welcome back Merritt Allen of Vox Optima PR. Now, first, the vaccination pleas from those hospital officials was pretty stark this week, Merritt, but do you think their stories and statistics and everything they were saying is hitting home any more than earlier vaccination messages? Is this better?
It must. Yeah. It must. It absolutely must.
I hear you.
This is vital. The Albuquerque Journal reported this morning that patients from Roswell, COVID patients from Roswell, are now being transported to Albuquerque because those beds are full.
Oh boy.
This is absolutely vital. We are seeing, again, patients with other conditions that require hospitalization are having to wait in the ER for a bed to open up. Mm-hmm. And I'm sick at heart because people in my own party, for cheap political basically what they think is going to be cheap political capital and an easy win in a primary, are going to actively support people not getting vaccinated. I want to be really clear. This vaccine is not going to be made mandatory by the governor or by the president. No vaccine has been. What private employers choose to do, what a state employer chooses to do is completely different. But any individual can choose not to be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. What we are seeing in stark reports from these doctors, what we are seeing nationwide, what we've just seen from Roswell having to see patients, if you are not vaccinated, you are at risk from the Delta variant. You are taking your life in your hands, and that is your choice. Mm-hmm. But when politicians and when political influencers decide for some sort of political stunt to get a crowd response, to get a donation, for whatever political reason, that it's helpful or advantageous to support misinformation about the vaccine, I want you to take a good look at yourself and look at these hospital statistics and decide if it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Good points there. Good points. Serge, schools, or Diane, let's go to you on this one. Schools are also now in session. Everyone's watching closely to see how this goes, no doubt about that. We've already seen a smattering of cases, Santa Fe reporting in part because younger students, of course, still aren't eligible for the vaccine. At the same time, we're still seeing some pushback from some lawmakers and school officials to mask mandates and other restrictions. How do you think this plays out in the long play?
I think that the long play is that it ends up being nothing but disastrous for New Mexicans. I was listening, and maybe it was on the previous presentation for us, but I read, is they were talking about the similarities between tuberculosis and the situation and the contagiousness and the vaccine, and how many people, and also the distance, because as you know from our history that Taos in many areas, they developed tuberculosis centers because it was the altitude was so much better for the patient. So we have a history that we can draw on here. The thing about it is most people, unless they had someone in their family, objected to it, having a vaccine. I was reading, and it's the same objections I've heard about the COVID vaccine is, I don't know what's in there, don't know what it might do. Those are all the same things. And I wasn't old enough to remember tuberculosis, but I remember getting a smallpox shot. I still have my little scar on my shoulder. Smallpox. And I look at it and I go, okay, folks, it's a natural reaction, I guess, to oppose it. But to get into the debate of whether it's my right as a parent to determine what is happening to my child, that is true. However, as Merritt said, is you're also assuming the responsibility. What the decision you make for your child is going to be a decision that impacts their classmates, and their instructors. I think And I think the biggest thing I am concerned about is I've read so many different opinions. I've listened to news, and I listen to all of them to see, so I get a diverse opinion. But I think most of us don't really understand what's going on and who to believe.
That's a
what's
point.
really true
That's a
and
point.
what's not.
That goes back to Merritt's point about disinformation and everything that's going on out there. Let me swing Serge in here. Serge, the education department has put itself in the center of this storm, recommending some of those restrictions and actually suspending the Floyd School Board for bucking those guidelines. Let me just ask you straight up, would it be better at this point to just go back to a public health order from the governor? I mean, her authority has been, upheld by repeated challenges during the pandemic. Should we just go there again?
Well, I don't know how effective that was, when it was happening either. I was
Fair point.
Traveled in southern New Mexico during the pendency of that order, and I didn't notice it making a huge difference. So, I mean, I think, folks who are going to choose not to do this are going to choose not to do this. And so the source of the authority is, I think it's probably stronger coming from the governor, obviously, but, folks who are brewing for a fight are gonna fight no matter what this is. And I think it is just inevitable that this is going to keep coming to a head as long as, as my co-panelists have said, as long as there's disinformation and folks are stirring folks up for their own reasons. It doesn't matter who the order comes from. There's going to be a lot of folks who choose not to listen to it or think it's a point worth fighting over.
Yeah.
Taking it.
Yep. Hey, Merritt, I was interested in Dr. McKee from UNM, when she pointed out the longer we let a virus spread around, the higher the chance for mutations. Isn't that convincing right there? I mean, is that not enough to punch through for people?
And that's what's happened with the Delta variant. And we're seeing the impact of it. So I certainly have been vaccinated. Everyone in my family's been vaccinated. I think asking people to show that they've been vaccinated or ask them to then take a precaution, I don't know. I'm from a military family.
California's gone there. Massachusetts has gone there. A lot of states have gone there.
I don't know. When I went into first grade, I was switching from public to parochial school, and I had a card that showed my shots on it. My Republican parents did not feel that this was some sort of government taking away their freedom. This was showing my kid is not going to infect other kids, so no precautions have to be taken. That's what that was. Can parents choose not to vaccinate their children? Yes. I think that's appropriate. I agree that a state mandate for school boards is probably not going to be received well, and parents will still not do it. So I think that's a hard case, but I think offering an easier way forward for parents who are willing to demonstrate my children are vaccinated, I am vaccinated. That's simply what a shot card is. That's what I had growing up. That's probably what everyone here had growing up, starting school, is here's my vaccination record.
That's right.
It's not a big deal. It's not an invasion into privacy. It's not impinging on freedom. It's just simply making a process easier.
Senator, we got about 30 seconds. Do you want to pick up on that? The idea of a vaccine passport, all that kind of thing?
I think I agree with what Merritt said. It really is. And maybe it's we older people who have experienced these things. You took your little shot card to get into school, and it wasn't a big deal. It was just part of the process. And I'm as much of a believer as anyone in the independence and having my own thoughts and values. But I have to accept that I have the responsibility of others in making my decisions.
That's right. And by the way, we still have to show immunization records to get into school. It's still going on. I'll have to wrap it up there for now. You can watch that full status update with hospital administrators on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Still ahead on the line, we'll explore the latest round of musical chairs in the Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's administration.